Disconnected, who is killing whom?
I mean, he brought his flavor.
Treatment was not very noble, I think.
First of all, I am going to be hella biased because I loved Captain Miller, and you are not going to change a bit about what I think about Captain Miller. Okay, so what did you feel about Captain Miller?
वही था यार कि I have watched Matheswaran के previous works and he has made like very different Indian films. There was a very distinctive taste to his art form that I really appreciated, be it Sani Kaidam or be it Rocky. His frames were really fresh, his storytelling was, and it has a very meditative feel to it even though it was very gory and violent. That missed in Captain Miller. So here he brought in a concept of Indian independence and British operation on villages and everything. At the same time, this guy who turns into a thug and then he's running a group of dacoits and everything. Joins a revolutionary group and everything. The idea was noble and good, but the treatment was not very noble, I felt.
So it's a flawed movie. I agree, it's a flawed movie. I'm not saying it's like the perfect, best movie coming out this year. No. It's a flawed movie and there are some flaws, and we should go past those flaws because this was Arun Matheswaran's foray into commercial movie. Like he tried to commercial. I mean, he brought his flavor. Those wide frames, the rustic and gory action sequences where like there's some gore in it, and the color palette, the monochromatic, I think.
Not monochromatic, but less saturated.
Yeah, pale color palette.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was Arun Matheswaran's compromise. I think मुझे commercialize भी करना है because there's a star, right? In two of his previous movies, there were no stars. There were newcomers.
Well, I feel Kirti Suresh was well established, but
Still,
not as big as Dhanush.
She's not star, right? She's not a star. I mean, she could be a star. Yeah, but then he had that sense of responsibility to kind of pander to Dhanush audience and also not lose his touch or his kind of filmmaking. So somewhere he did that compromise and he excelled. I felt he excelled because the cinematography was top notch, and barring those chase sequences, they felt quite gimmicky.
I'll differ to your point on cinematography when it comes to a few drone shots that were unnecessary in the action sequences and a little bit of problem with the temple scene. Apart from that, if not about the cinematography, even this film was in chapters
but this worked, right? At least it was not as terrible as
this was a decent division of chapters, and also it made sense. Like he transformed into a dacoit, and there were this different parts of his life transformation into different things, character changes, and this had a decent one. But then he had put in a few unnecessary characters, like the character of his brother. He brought in Shivraj Kumar for it, but the character wasn't justified. I felt it was unnecessary.
Even I agree. It was just for that one sequence towards the end.
It was just to bring in the Kannada audience to the film.
And even that scene, the last third act final sequence was just for that scene only. You brought on that character by Sada. But then he masterfully, I think, immerse कर दिया था story में वो character by felt. But what I feel worked more than all of these things was the music.
Yeah, G.V. Prakash did.
G.V. Prakash, bro, killed it. He killed it. His best work in recent times, I think. Because I went in with the notion that G.V. Prakash is going to fuck it up because Matheswar is kind of an author. Okay, He has a distinct style, right? And he needs someone like Darbuka Shiva and like those guys, those newcomers who are quite malleable.
Darbuka Shiva is not a new.
Not new, but then
he's a seasoned one.
Yeah, he's a seasoned one only. But then like he is not that star like G.V. Prakash or Anirudh.
Yep.
Right. So I felt Arun would have made some compromises regarding G.V. Prakash. He is not capable of doing that. I felt that, but then he killed it, and I think the sole reason I liked the movie were the frames and the music to go with, and watching it in IMAX, and I think this is a pure theatrical experience than Malay Kotte Wale. This works more in theater than on OTTs. That's what I feel. Because every frame and the music which accompanies it is like an immersive experience. That's what I felt. And coming to Shivanna's character, I don't remember his name. I think it was ill treated actually. वो बीच में he is rumored to be dead, but then appears out of nowhere, and then that's not addressed at all.
So was Sandeep Kishan's character, and so was Priyanka Mohanan's character.
Okay, that was one of the worst acting we have ever seen, I think.
Even if not speaking about the acting, the characters weren't given much to do,
but
apart from the main character.
I'll differ here because Sandeep Kishan's character, Shivanna's character, and that girl, the dacoit girl, even they didn't have anything.
True.
But they shined with whatever they were given, right? And when compared to these three people, Priyanka's character was given more screen time, right?
Yeah.
And there's a literally emotional like close-up scene, right? With that gun.
In the end, yeah.
Yep, you remember that, right? The whole scene gets fucked just because Priyanka cannot emote at all. The whole sequence just gets like she tossed it. Khatam. I'm so angry right now because it was a really good scene until Priyanka showed up. The dumbest acting or the dumbest whoever cast her, I think he should be fired. Just didn't work.
But apart from her, there have been good moments in the film where she wasn't present, like the part wherein he has to burn the dead bodies. So that scene was really crazy. Like I would be really happy to watch the movie in IMAX just for that scene because that was staged so well. The scene where he tries to kill himself in the trauma and all his friends stop him. So those were the moments like felt like this was very fresh take on the scene wherein people fight against the Britishers. So even these things the people have to experience, the trauma, the dilemma and everything. So those were very interesting points that were discussed, and also he did justice to those points. And the scene where he's standing in front of the fire, it's beautiful.
Fire, that scene, fire. He did it better than SS Rajawale, I feel.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
That's what, like, there's a discourse on it, Twitter regarding this, but then, yeah, we'll talk about it later.
But yeah, those scenes really stand. Like, even if when I look back at the film, those scenes are good. And even the way the trailer was cut, the movie is not like that. I can say that very clearly.
The trailer is like a whole movie actually. Trailer, tu dekhega na? It's kind of the whole movie.
No, but when you see the movie, the way the trailer was cut, the trailer shows it to be a pacey one.
Right.
There is a little slow storytelling happening in the film.
Yeah, it's actually slow, yeah.
Slow, yeah. So showing it as a high octane action drama, like I'm not blaming the person who cut the trailer the way the film was sold, but that made a little expectations in my mind that the film would be an pacey action and gory thing, because there were shots of dead bodies on stakes and they were blown up, and when I watched it in the theater, so I didn't feel the emotion.
The impact was not
there. The impact wasn't there, that what I was expecting, because it was a very scary scene of dead bodies blowing up on stakes. Like I didn't see it anywhere in any of the films that I've watched regarding death and everything, people being held up on stakes. I haven't seen this kind of violence, and when I was excited about that scene and I watched it in the theater, it didn't live up to it. And even the half-face thing.
The half-face guy,
who was also in Triple R. So that part I didn't even like. It was just for the visual impact, just to make the scenes and the frames interesting by keeping a face.
You're right, but then for me it was an experience actually. I'm saying that movie has some flaws, but then certain characters did bring up the quality of the movie, like that Kannaya character, the guy who's the leader of the dacoits, that guy, and if you haven't talked about Dhanush, bro, I think by far, and I feel there are still 10 more months to this year, but I feel this is the best acting performance of the year. The guy just needs his highs, that's it. we just, oh, like what an actor, man. He emoted the fuck out of everything.
Yeah,
He just emoted with his eyes. Though those eyes, man, they. I mean, every scene in which Dhanush was present, he stole the show.
I'm really sorry that I slept on the fact that there was Dhanush in the film. But yeah, Dhanush made the film look believable. That's why I could consume whatever I could in that whole long run time, because he was doing great. Even in the scene where he was having trauma that he had to burn his friends' dead bodies. That scene was crazy. Even the scene in the start where he's getting excited that he's joining the army and everything. And even the transformation from that to the end where he's going into a full cold-blooded killer. That was a crazy, like he did a great job in that. But the only things that felt inorganic in the frame were the guns he were holding, which weren't true to the era. Like there were semi-automatics and everything that he was
Even
holding.
the bike to some extent was,
Triumph.
yeah.
I'm not sure if that kind of triumph was present in that era. But it
they
felt very new.
Those you have to look past, I feel. Because I know I'm contradicting myself, but then yeah, music, Dhanush, and cinematography, these things combined were a spectacle. Was a spectacle.
Cinematography in certain areas.
In certain areas, okay. I mean, yeah, even I have said like before, right? Ki the chase sequence, it was quite gimmicky. वो ड्रोन यूज करके पूरा like he shouldn't have used that. I felt वहाँ पे he compromised. Like he should have shown his like the true Arun Matheswaran वहाँ पे. He faltered there.
There was a true Arun Matheswaran frame in that where Dhanush has just left the army and then he's walking through the forest and everything. He's working on himself. Yeah,
he's contemplating after killing that.
That one thing, and also after this chase sequence, there's a broken bus wherein he keeps the camera behind the crack of the window.
Oh yeah.
So he used that frame so much, like multiple times. He exploited
trademark.
it. Yeah, because the frame was so good.
Frame.
This is blocking, his depth of the frames are really good at certain places. Otherwise, he had done the commercial routine type of things, which he didn't used to do in his earlier films, but which were there. Which I feel is my fault because I carry the filmmaker's work sometimes.
Oh, yeah, newsflash. I haven't watched his previous works.
Yeah, because of that, even I told you before, like, because that is the reason you have enjoyed the film more, because you are a little oblivious to what the filmmaker is capable of. This guy, he can do new, even though the storyline is routine. So that would surprise me. Even if you know what is going to happen and how the storyline is, he would portray it. The treatment would be in a certain way, which would be international at the same time Indian and the same time beautiful.
I mean, what do you mean by international? Like
international as in the festival. Yeah, not the Western, but then if you
global perspective.
If you look at what you say, Korean films, Korean Japanese films, like
the milieu they create.
Yeah. That kind of thing. The wide frames and everything, the calmness before the storm and everything that he can create. He does that. That he does well, which isn't very much present. And one of the problems that I had with this film was the storyline.
Exactly. That's what character arc was not fleshed out properly. And I think it dabbled too much, like going to the villagers, going to the king, and then his minister. He faltered there, I think. He should have solely focused on Dhanush character's arc, that's it. Then that could have worked a lot. And somewhere it feels like the writing was weak.
So what he did was, he brought the Ceylon angle, the Sri Lanka angle.
Yeah, Ceylon.
He also brought the savior of the village angle into it, and British, and then the British thing, and also the Revolutionary Army. He had a lot to play with. If he had focused on one thing, the movie would have been a great film, and if you had removed a few unnecessary characters, which was the fat of the film would have been a kind of like a single track film, but a very interesting, because he has a lot of interesting things to do, which he diverted.
Also, we haven't talked about the political subtext. The way the whole movie deals with the underlying subjects of the highs and the lows, the lower caste people and the higher caste people. That was really good, I feel, and that's like Arun's trademark. I think like he plays it well, really well. The between the highs and the lows, the conflict between the highs and the lows, and even the final sequence where the lower caste people get into the temple for the
allowed
first
it.
time. Oh, whole sequence felt really एक अच्छा वो बोलता ना well rounded. Political subtext was right. I feel वो अच्छा था, and people got fed up of Dhanush doing the same caste politics movies.
I wasn't tired, like it was still
Because you haven't
enjoyable.
seen Karnan.
I haven't, huh? But I enjoyed his role in that. But then showing him as the savior with the same name, that felt a little bit contrived. Like,
Same name, same face.
same face, yeah, the statue.
Oh, that was so. By the way, it's supposed to be a trilogy.
Arre baap re.
So yeah, so the way he ended it was also brilliant. So the main princess,
Huh.
the king's daughter, original daughter, original own daughter,
Yeah.
Aditi Balan.
Yep, barabar.
She is supposed to take revenge on Dhanush in the next coming part. And I feel that character was underwritten a lot. And I mean, he set it up cleverly. That I'll give. He set it up really cleverly, like as a revenge. She'll
See, this is
this is fine. Yeah, this is fine. This is not actually bastardized version of like ego. ऐसा नहीं है. But then the only gripe is throughout the movie, Aditi Balan appears only for 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. He could have like shown her dealing with Priyanka Arul थोड़ा सा like वहाँ पे दोनों के बीच में relation जो है, which is quite friendly on the surface. They could have shown it now.
I feel it's not necessary to show her, but then something about her or something like a entity that is not in the state but then operating from outside. Like they did in Vikram. They spoke about Rolex. Something bad happens, Rolex would come and fuck everything up, fuck everyone up.
Okay, at least they sprinkled it, right? Like
Yeah, big time. And if they would have done that, so people would have gotten goosebumps in the end. Like, oh, that was a loose end that was there in the start, and then they joined it by the end of the film, teasing for the next part. So it was much better than Eagle and Malai Kota Valiwan. Yeah, it was much better than both of them. But I felt it was unnecessary. The film was great. It would have ended there, and the action sequence would have been cut a little bit lesser. The film would have been great.
I mean, yeah, there were too many cuts during the chase. That
I was disconnected. Who is killing whom?
But yeah, I feel overall it was a really good theatrical experience. Even like we watched it in IMAX, right? So the sound and the visuals, like it was an immersive experience for me, to say the very least. I don't know about you.
It was an immersive experience for me in parts, and a good film for me in a few bits only. That was my opinion on that film.
Okay.
But it's a great film as a soundtrack and a great film as posters that I can collect.
Oh man, the posters are really sick. Coming to posters, the days to go posters of Hanuman, weren't they great?
Yeah.